Okay, welcome to another Lit Matters. Here we are again with the second half of the Lady Macbeth top 10 quotations analysis. This is part 2 of 2, so if you haven't seen it, check out the first half. What I'm trying to do here is take you through 10 of Lady Macbeth's quotations and what they mean fundamentally, and also some language devices on display, and try and link it to some key themes for Shakespeare. So hopefully useful for you if you've got an extract question that requires you to really zoom in on language and show you get language and squeeze the meaning out of certain words and identify the devices, but also perhaps useful for you in more developed essay questions where the themes or the context are more important. Okay, so number 6 then, out of 10. Infirm of purpose. Give me the daggers, the sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt. She's a piece of work by this stage, Lady Macbeth. She's absolutely fearsome, formidable woman, and not to be messed with, and overwhelming for Macbeth at this point in Act 2, Scene 2. A lot going on here, various different issues. Firstly, infirm of purpose. She calls him weak, and challenges his manhood or his sense of masculinity, that he's a weakling, he's some kind of chicken. She says, "I'll take the daggers, I'll sort this out," and then sort of chastises him and saying, the sleeping dead is just like a picture, like an image. What are you scared of? Only little kids are scared of a picture of a devil. And so she says, just like a painting. So again, it's that idea of superficiality, that the surface can deceive and not really reveal the true reality of things. And this idea of superficiality is built on in that she's going to go off and badge the grooms with blood, I think Lennox says when he comes in, and cover them with the blood of King Duncan. His golden skin laced with his silver blood, and here's that's very Machiavellian, very superficial. She's going to use the surface to deceive other people and to lie about the reality of what is happening there. So on a language point, she's saying, give me the daggers. She's instructing him now. She's ordering him. Those are command words, and I do wonder if there's something slightly phallic about that, and this might be a tiny little joke, a penis joke on Shakespeare's part. There's not many jokes in Macbeth, but I wonder, I would be careful making this point in an exam, by the way. You don't want to come across that you're fairly silly and immature and just want to giggle at the prospect of a penis joke, and I think you run that risk, but I think it's worth considering. Shakespeare, after all, is he's a filthy man. There's no two ways about this. This is a man who's written a sonnet basically entirely about his own penis. He references his penis about 13 times in 14 lines, which is some going. So he knows what he's doing. He knows where he's leaving these suggestions, and he's a master of language. So there's no way he doesn't know what some of these connotations are. And I think here it is significant in that she's the one taking control of the phallic object, and as it were, and where he has been previously his brandished steel, he's been swinging about his big weapon, as it were, and it's all part of him being a big man in the first act. Now she is the alpha male almost, and she is dominating him and taking control of the phallic object. But like I say, I probably wouldn't go near that in an exam question, but it's just there for you if it makes you chuckle and makes you see actually there's a lot of hidden depths to Shakespeare and Macbeth. Okay, moving swiftly on. The next one, a little water clears us of this deed. How easy is it then? Okay, Lady Macbeth here. It's all so simple, but of course it's not. Again, superficiality, and you should be spotting right now that almost every quotation that we come across with Lady Macbeth's superficiality is a relevant theme. Just wash it off and we hide everything we've done, is basically what she's telling him. Again, quite Machiavellian. She's deceiving everyone, but I think there's another couple of more interesting places you can take this. I think one is the in terms of structure, the iambic pentameter of the line. So the dum the dum the dum the dum the dum. A little water clears us of this deed. You could argue that that's perhaps her heart beating, and that's ba-bum, 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 you know, kind of betraying the intensity of emotion that she's trying to tell herself. She's quite relaxed about this, but actually her heart is going beating away. Or you could just say that it adds a certain sort of naturalness to it, that it comes, you know, it comes quite easily to her to be this deceitful. Up to you, have a think. I've said here as well, this is quite myopic, and myopia is short-sightedness, effectively, but you know, to the point where it's basically blinding. And her, this is so short-sighted, as we'll come back to in another quotation towards the end of this video about out damned spot. But here there's this short-sightedness that is just, it can be as easy as this, and you can just commit these horrendous murders, wash the blood off, and that's the end of that. Of course it's not. That's one of Shakespeare's key points here. So there's a certain amount of hubris going on here, so misplaced self-confidence. Check out my other video on the Aristotelian terminology in Macbeth for more details, but essentially hubris is misplaced self-confidence that will get punished by the gods in ancient Greek tragedy, and that's exactly what's going on here. It's not this easy, and this kind of arrogance is you're gonna get your comeuppance, lady, is the undertone to it there. Okay, on we go. Yeah, I love this one. Okay, this needs to be read with a bit of a whimper. You know, oh, help me hence. Oh, I'm fainting. Oh no. This is genius, right? This is the point where all these blithering idiots turn up. All these, Macduff's not an idiot, but Macduff and Lennox and these other sort of nobles turn up, and they're all shocked and outraged and, you know, harumphing around the court, going, "Oh no, murder, 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 murder most horrible." All these are so awful. And Lady Macbeth sort of comes in, you know, enters on stage, having just previously insisted that to Macbeth that, "Come on, we got to go. We got to get your nightgown on. You know, go and get your gym jams on, sunshine. We got to cover this up. We can't be hanging around here with this dead body, and, you know, in our normal day-to-day clothes covered in blood. We got to go and get our pajamas on, and then come out and do the whole yawning thing. And oh, I've been asleep. What's happening?" And so the, you know, the nobles will go, "Oh, this isn't for a lady to look at. This is too awful." And there's a delicious bit of irony there, where Shakespeare just these thick-headed, fat-headed men in the patriarchy, and such a patriarchal world, a homosocial world, really, where they're most comfortable in the company of other men, and sort of trust other men, and find that much more natural. And she turns up, and they're like, "Oh, you can't see this. You're you know, so it's not for you, my lady. You're too beautiful and pure, and oh, this is awful, and it might upset you." And she's behind it all, and she's orchestrated the whole thing, and she's wiping blood on the bodyguards and all the rest of it. So beautiful superficiality. Machiavelli would be, I think, I don't know, spinning in his grave, turning in his grave in delight, I think, at little plots and tricks and deceits like this. But it's, so there's lots of interesting things there, how Shakespeare perhaps sort of little jokes at gender roles, or perhaps some of the idiocy of the patriarchy. It'd be nice to think. In terms of language devices, obviously got the alliteration there. The "help me hit her," as if, you know, these are sort of the breaths coming out of her, almost her last breaths as she faints. But she's very clever, because she not only gets herself out of there, you know, and makes quite a nice way for her to go off and recover and not be sort of associated or connected with any of this at all, or not have to face any awkward questions. But she also clears the way a bit for Macbeth, because he's not quite so quick on his feet. He's not such a Machiavel at the start. That comes in time, but, you know, they're all saying, "Well, who's done it? What's happened?" And then they're like, "Oh, it was the bodyguards. They did it." And Macduff's going, "Oh, hold on a minute. Why are they all dead? What's happened here? They're all straight away dead. When did anyone notice this? And before there's any serious questions or investigation or anything, Macbeth's going, "Oh yeah, I killed him. Yeah, who can blame me? I was mad. I loved him. I was angry. I'm upset. I feel pride. I feel hate. I feel anger, injustice. Oh, it was too much. I whacked him. I had to bash him up." And before there's too many eyebrows raised and people going, this doesn't stack up to me. It gives her, it sort of moves the conversation, changes the conversation, and then Duncan's son, um, Malcolm and Donald Bain just sit there and start discussing, what should we do? Should we leg it to Ireland and England and all the rest of it? So it's genius, that one. I think it shows that the sort of simplicity of a Machiavellian genius. Okay, next one, very, very famous, perhaps one of her most famous ones, Out Damned Spot Out, I say. Right now we're in Act 5, so she's come full circle pretty much, and she's trying to wash the blood off her hands. Of course, this is hallucination, and this is her seeing things and imagining things, so a sign of her complete mental disintegration or mental deterioration. And also another one of those key hallucinations. Before it was Macbeth, he was the one with hallucinating about the dagger or Banquo's ghost, and so forth. And now it's her who is suffering from these hallucinations, and she sees this blood in her hands. It's not really there, I think, in most people's readings of this, but she's convinced it is, and she can't get it out, and she's scrubbing away. So there's that idea about marks, that actions have consequences. They leave signs, or they leave marks that things have happened. In this case, it's a psychological scar, I guess, or a psychological mark, but it's a sort of stain on her mindset, nonetheless. You've got as well, this is the whole part of her somnambulance, which is a technical term for her sleepwalking, and when she's giving the game away in her sleep, saying things like, "Oh, who would have thought the old man had so much blood in him?" And the doctor and the gentlewoman are sat there scratching their chin, going, "You say what?" And at the time, somnambulance or sleepwalking is seen as sort of like you're a bit of a wrong 'un. There's something kind of devilish about you. Why would you be sneaking around in the middle of the night in your pajamas and whatnot? This doesn't reflect too well on you. Makes you look kind of suspicious. And they thought the mind was slightly possessed by witchcraft and wizardry and all the rest of it. Okay, so it's a bit more superficiality there, in the sense of it's not really there, but she thinks it is. So again, the surface is sort of lying to her, but she's sort of getting her comeuppance for trying to lie about the surface, with a little water clears us of this deed in the first place. Yeah, so superficiality kind of working both ways, and as Shakespeare kind of hinted when they keep repeatedly asking nature to be unnatural at the start, this is not sustainable, and you're going to get your comeuppance. Okay, last one then. Here's the smell of blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, it follows just at the same time in the same scene, Act 5, Scene 1. And a bit of sensory description here. She smells blood. She can't really see it, or at least she's hallucinating about it. But there's this smell of it, which is lingering, and she uses this hyperbole, which is this extreme exaggeration. Saying that all the perfumes in Arabia, sort of known at the time for its exotic perfumes, can't get rid of this stink and the smell of blood. There's no help for me. There's nothing to be done. And this is kind of cyclical, in the sense of I think this is an echo of Macbeth. Immediately after he's committed the murder, he sat there looking at the blood in his hands, going, what bloody hands are these? They pluck out mine eyes. Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No. This my little hand will rather the multitudinous seas incarnadine, making the green one red. So for Macbeth at the start, he's invoking all of Neptune. Will all of Neptune's ocean wash the blood off my hands? No. And here she's like, oh, will all the perfumes of Arabia take the stink away from the blood of my hands? No. So there's a nice little kind of sense by Shakespeare, things are sort of coming full circle, or going to be back where you started, or you're sort of in this spiral or this circle that you can't avoid. Um, Okay, once again, obviously superficiality yet again a key theme, but here it's perhaps coming to bite them on the backside, and it's coming to catch up with them as all this superficiality and this deceit and these lies, have sort of twisted and tortured their minds so much for Lady Macbeth. It's too much, and she obviously commits suicide, and seemingly sort of throws herself off the castle walls. Um, okay. Right, that's that then. That is the end of these two-part videos on all of Lady Mac's quotations. I hope that's helpful for you. Hope that's useful. Do like it or subscribe, or leave a note in the comments about quotations I should have put in, or other ways to make this better for you, or more useful for your revision or for your knowledge and love of Macbeth.
Pressure.